Now it's time to talk insurance, folks. Hey, look, let's get with our expert over at Richard Tonihka Agency, Goosehead. RichardTAgency.com is the website. RichardTAgency.com is the website for all of your insurance needs, home, auto, toy, and otherwise. What's up, Richard?
What's going on? How you doing this fine morning?
I'm good. Don't you like me leading into your segment with some doom and gloom?
Always. And I'm just sitting there and I just get tired head, just put my head in my hand and just like, oh, not again. Especially after the things that we talked about today, because what I was going to talk about today is builder's risk. So builders coming in and building a new house, so for an investor or
No,
not really. If you're buying a house and you're looking at renovating it, or you're completely gutting it and you're going to start over, all you're using this house for is the shell. There is a specific kind of insurance policy that you need, and it's called builder's risk. So whether you're starting from scratch or you're renovating an existing house, depending on how much work you're going to be doing is depending on what kind of risk that the insurance policy is going to take. And these are very special policies for the people that are doing this. It's not a normal home policy. Once you get finished with the work, then we transfer you from a builder's risk policy into a normal homeowner's policy. But never the two shall meet because it is different. If it's a different risk, first of all, and not all carriers have that risk or that appetite for having a builder's risk policy. If you're renovating it and your insurance company doesn't know about it, but something happens and you have a claim, it's not going to be covered more than likely because they do not cover that risk.
Yeah, that is so important because you're right. There are, first-time early investors that are doing rehabs and flips, and these aren't really what I was talking about before. But
I know.
But you're right. They don't know this, and if an accident happens there in the house while they're doing a rehab.
And the last thing, I mean, one of the things that I tell everybody, the last thing that you want to do is give an insurance carrier any reason whatsoever to deny a claim.
Yeah. And
not having the correct policy for what you're doing or for what your risk is one of the biggest things that you can do. And we just take all excuses from having a claim denied out of the equation. That way we make sure that you've got the right policy at the right time and with the right coverages.
Yeah, and by the way, the insurance companies have the eye in the sky, folks. So literally walk out in your front yard right now, wave up to the sky, because your insurance company can see you literally real time right now.
Well, they do look at all the Google Maps. I don't know about real time. They don't have drones going everywhere, but they have them most places.
They have satellite access, and that can see your hailstorm. And so if you had hail on your house or not, they can see that.
But a normal build time for a house ranges anywhere from 3 months up to a year. So a builder's risk policy, depending on what the length of your renovations are concerned, can go from 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. And depending on how much work you're doing, that's going to determine, or what your timeline is, that's the policy that we go with. Of course, if you're doing a builder's risk for 6 months, it's going to be less expensive than you're doing it for 9 months or 12 months. And keep in mind that if you're going over your time, so let's say Mike comes in, he's going to renovate a house, and he only wants to pay for a 6-month builder's risk policy, and then he's going to transfer into a homeowner's policy. If he goes over, let's say, a month, you can get an extension. It's not a hard and set fast rule that you have to be done on this day within 6 months or else it's all over. No, you can apply for an extension. And the way this works is, as you have work the house itself is done on an ACV, or depreciated value. Because let's say you bought a $100,000 home, you gutted it. Now it's no longer worth $100,000, right? Mm-hmm. And so as you're putting the materials in and you're getting the work done by a licensed contractor, you're getting that value put back into the house. So let's say that $100,000 house that you bought, you're putting about $80,000, $90,000 in upgrades or work into this house. So as you're getting finished with your projects of this house, you're putting that value back in, and you're letting me know, because anything that you put into the house is replaced at replacement cost, but the house itself is actual cash value until we finish. And then once we finish, then that's when we transfer into a homeowner's policy that everything's replacement cost if you get the right policy, but not everybody gets the right policy.
Right.
So it's very important that as you're going through the process that you keep in touch with your insurance carrier or your agent to make sure that as you're getting finished with the projects, that information is being given to the carrier so that if something does happen, you're covered, and you're covered for replacement costs, because this is kind of like one of those investment property policies where not everything is covered, because the things that are covered on a builder's risk are fire, wind, theft, lightning, hail, explosion, vandalism, and aircraft. You notice I didn't say water. And so the biggest thing about, or the most likely of risks is not covered with this. And that's the reason that keeping this builder's risk policy on target and keeping your work schedule on target and getting finished as soon as you can is paramount to making sure that you're covered correctly, because as soon as we can get you into a policy that is actually going to cover you for water and all the other damages, then that's really where we need to be as quickly as we can.
So quick question on if someone's doing like a rehab loan, they should have this type of coverage?
Absolutely.
Like if we're doing a rehab loan and they're making the adjustments and changes within the house, they should speak with their agent and make sure that the right coverage is there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because like I said, I mean, the last thing that you want to do is get into a policy where you're giving the carrier a reason a reason to deny the claim.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and you got to remember, folks, that look, the insurance companies are mitigating risk at all times, and they don't want to pay anything out if they don't have to. But the way you can get around that is make sure you're with Richard, because you're going to let him know every step of the way what you're doing so he can protect you. Richard cares about you. He wants to protect you and all of your assets. RichardTAgency.com is his website. Richard Tonihka, the Goosehead Insurance brand. Hey, folks, trust me, you want to be with Richard. He'll take care of you. Folks, we are out of time. We are here live every Sunday, 8 to 9 in the morning. Tune in next week. We got Henry S. Miller III here live in studio next week. We will see you then.